You're in a room full of people. Fluorescent lights, fold-out chairs, the kind of place where the air smells like dust and old coffee. Someone's at the front, pacing, loud, sure of themselves. No notes, no hesitation. They're wrong. Clearly, provably, embarrassingly wrong. But it doesn't matter, people nod. They smile, they clap. Because this person doesn't sound unsure. They don't fumble their words, they don't pause to think. Now rewind. Different room, different voice. This time the speaker is careful, measured. You can hear the gears turning before each sentence. They start with, "I think," or "it depends." Their answer is better, sharper. But halfway through, eyes glaze over. Phones come out. People tune out. Why? Because the room doesn't reward accuracy. It rewards confidence. Loudness, the illusion of certainty. You've seen it in meetings, online, at dinner tables. One person dominates not with truth, but with tone. They talk more, interrupt more. They walk away praised while the thoughtful person is ignored or forgotten. It's not new, but it's getting worse. The louder someone is, the more likely people are to assume they're right. Even when they're not, especially when they're not. And the scariest part? The wrong person often gets the job, the microphone, the power. Not because they know what they're doing, but because they sound like they do. So here's the real question. What happens when our instincts are wired to trust the sound of confidence over the substance of truth? We've confused confidence with competence. Somewhere along the way, sounding sure became more important than being right. Not because we're lazy or stupid, but because our brains are built to take shortcuts. When someone speaks with certainty, we assume they know what they're talking about. It feels safe to follow someone who acts like they've got the map, even if they're heading straight off a cliff. It shows up in politics. The loudest person in the room says something simple, bold, wrong, and the crowd eats it up. It doesn't matter if the policy makes no sense. It doesn't matter if the numbers don't add up. What matters is that they said it like it was truth carved in stone. Meanwhile, the person who hesitates, who explains the trade-offs, who tells the truth with nuance, they're seen as weak. They lack vision. They get ignored. We do this in everyday life too. In job interviews, on social media, in classrooms. The ones who pause to think are passed over. The ones who speak fast and sure even if they're bluffing, get the attention, the likes, the job, not because we're drawn to truth, but because we're drawn to certainty. And that's the problem. Confidence has become a mask. It hides stupidity, it gives it a stage, and the more we reward that, the more we invite people to fake it, not fix it. So the question isn't just, why do we fall for it? The deeper question is, what kind of damage does it do when we let tone decide what counts as truth? What happens to a society that follows volume instead of value? Let's keep it simple. Confidence is the belief someone shows in themselves. It's not about being right, it's about sounding sure. You can be confident and wrong at the same time. Happens every day. Competence is actual ability. Knowing what you're doing, solving real problems. It's quiet. It doesn't always look impressive, but it works. Stupidity here isn't about low IQ. It's about ignoring facts, refusing to learn, pretending to know when you don't. It's willful blindness wrapped in a loud voice. There's a key difference between sounding right and being right. Confidence lives in tone. Competence lives in results. When we stop separating those two, we reward the wrong things. That's the core of what we're talking about. This isn't about introverts versus extroverts. It's not about being shy or loud. It's about how we judge value, how we choose who to trust, who to follow, who we put in charge. And it's not just a personality quirk, it's a system-level failure, one that spreads faster than we think. Long before microphones and Twitter feeds, confidence was survival. In small tribes, people followed those who looked like they had a plan. You didn't have time to check every fact. If someone stood tall and gave a clear command, you listened. The ones who hesitated got ignored or eaten. Certainty meant safety. That instinct never left. We still follow the one who looks sure of themselves, even when there's no threat, even when they're wrong. Fast forward to the early 20th century. Advertising exploded. Politicians started using radio, then TV. The game changed. No longer about ideas. Now it was about image. Kennedy beat Nixon on TV because he looked more composed. Nixon sounded fine on the radio, but TV wanted charisma. Smooth delivery, strong jawline, eye contact. In the corporate world, it got worse. Management books told people to act like a leader, walk fast, speak with authority. Don't say, "I don't know." It became strategy. Play the part and you'll move up. Fake it if you have to. By the time the internet hit, the floodgates were open. Suddenly, anyone with a webcam and an opinion could talk to millions. And the algorithm didn't care about truth. It cared about what kept people watching. Loud won, nuance lost. Social media turned confidence into currency. Then came the final shift. We didn't just reward confidence, we started punishing caution. People who said it's complicated were seen as weak. People who questioned themselves were labeled unsure. And people who told the truth with all its gray areas were drowned out by those who didn't. That's how we got here. A culture that built its systems around the appearance of strength, not the substance of thought. One that now confuses volume for value and doesn't know how to tell the difference. We want to feel safe. That's the root of it. When the world feels uncertain, we look for someone who sounds like they have answers. Not someone who might be right. Someone who sounds like they know. It's about security, not accuracy. Certainty calms us. It makes the world feel less chaotic. When someone says, "This is how it is," we relax, even if they're wrong. Doubt makes us uncomfortable. It forces us to think, to weigh, to wait, and that feels like danger. We're also wired to avoid risk. If we follow the confident voice and it goes wrong, we can say, "Well, they seemed sure." But if we follow the cautious voice and it still goes wrong, we blame ourselves. Confidence gives us someone to hide behind. Then there's the group dynamic. Most people don't want to be the one who slows things down. If a confident person takes charge, others follow. Just to keep things moving. It's easier to nod along than to speak up and look unsure. We also crave status. And in today's world, confidence signals power. It says, "I'm in control." Whether it's real or not, that signal attracts attention. People want to be near it. They want to borrow some of that strength. Under pressure, at work, in relationships, in politics, this wiring gets louder. In crisis, people don't look for the smartest person in the room. They look for the one who sounds like they've got it handled, even if they don't. That's what makes this so dangerous. Our survival instincts push us to trust the confident voice. But in a world built on complex problems, that voice is often the least prepared to solve anything. Your brain wants shortcuts. It's built to save energy. Thinking hard burns calories, so we rely on patterns. One of the strongest is confidence equals correctness. When someone speaks with certainty, our brain treats that as a signal. Trust this person. This is called the authority bias. We give more weight to those who act like they know what they're doing, even when they don't. It's not logical, it's fast, and speed often beats accuracy. Then there's confirmation bias. We like people who echo what we already believe. If a loud voice tells us something we want to hear, we double down. We ignore facts that don't fit. We stop checking. We stop thinking. Confidence also triggers emotional safety. It makes us feel like someone's in charge. In chaos, that feels like a lifeline. Even if the person leading us is blind, their certainty makes us feel like maybe we're not lost. And when we're in a group, things get worse. The bandwagon effect kicks in. If others nod along, we do too. We assume someone else has done the thinking, so we fall in line. Momentum builds. The loudest voice becomes the only voice. Stupidity, when it's loud, starts to look like truth. And once a bad idea is wrapped in confidence, it becomes sticky. It resists correction, because now it's tied to pride, identity, and ego. Smart people aren't immune. In fact, they're often more vulnerable. The more educated you are, the better you are at defending a wrong belief, if it's already yours. This is how overconfidence spreads. Not just through ignorance, but through emotional and cognitive blind spots. It doesn't need evidence, it just needs to sound right, feel safe, and come from someone who talks like they've already won. Look around. Our culture trains us to value confidence over truth from the start. In school, the kid who raises their hand fastest gets praised, even if the answer's wrong. Teachers reward boldness. Caution is seen as hesitation. Over time, kids learn to perform certainty, not think deeply. At home, it's the same. Many families teach kids to speak up, take charge, show strength. Few teach how to say, "I don't know." That sounds weak, so we fake knowing, we bluff, and we get rewarded for it. Then we grow up and the stakes get higher. In the workplace, confident people climb faster. They interrupt more in meetings, talk more in pitches, make more eye contact. None of that proves skill, but it works. Managers mistake certainty for leadership, so the system feeds itself. Media makes it worse. News panels reward those who speak the loudest, not those who ask real questions. Social media? It turns every post into a performance. Nuance dies. Bold, wrong statements get likes. Humility gets buried. Even religion and politics lean into it. Sermons with fire and certainty get more followers than those full of quiet reflection. Politicians who say, "This is the only way," win more votes than those who admit complexity. It's not about solutions, it's about sounding sure. Over time, we absorb the message. If you want to be heard, don't pause, don't question. Just talk like you're right. So we build a society that punishes thoughtfulness and rewards bravado. A place where people get ahead not by knowing more, but by sounding like they do. And once that dynamic is set, it spreads. It becomes normal, expected, respected. This isn't just a glitch in the system. It is the system. Here's the irony. We say we value truth, but we punish the people who speak it slowly. We say we want strong leaders, but we define strength by tone, not track record. The louder someone talks, the more we assume they know. And the more someone questions, the more we assume they're unsure, even if they're the only one being honest. We admire humility in theory, but in practice, we treat it like weakness. A leader says, "I need more information," and we call them soft. Another says, "I have all the answers," and we call them bold, even if they're lying. And we wonder why we end up with bad decisions. We've built a system where being right is less valuable than looking right, where fast talk beats slow thought, where confidence gets the room and accuracy gets ignored. Even more twisted, many of the confident ones know they're bluffing, but the bluff works. So they keep playing the part, and the system keeps rewarding them for it. Over time, they start believing their own hype. Meanwhile, people who actually know what they're talking about start to doubt themselves. They see loud, wrong opinions getting traction. They start holding back, staying quiet, and the room gets even dumber. So what do we call this? Leadership? Expertise? Or just noise in a nice suit? We're now living in the consequences. Loud, wrong opinions fill our feeds. They get clicks, shares, airtime. Politicians rise by making bold claims, not careful plans. Public debates look more like shouting matches than problem solving. And people who actually know what they're doing are pushed to the sidelines. Too quiet, too careful, too late. In the workplace, the same thing happens. Overconfident managers make decisions that cost millions. Projects fail, but no one questions them. Why? Because they sounded sure. Meanwhile, skilled but quieter workers are overlooked, ignored, or let go. Even in medicine, it's showing. Patients trust doctors who speak with absolute certainty, even when they're wrong, over those who explain risks and admit what they don't know. And that can kill people. On social media, fake experts thrive. They sell advice, courses, politics, all with the same tone of unshakable certainty. Many of them have no real background, no depth. Just a camera, a script, and the right kind of voice. The cost isn't just bad decisions, it's trust. People get burned enough times and stop listening altogether. They tune out everyone, smart or not. When confidence becomes cheap, it poisons real expertise. We're not just rewarding stupidity, we're giving it power. Here's what you can do. Stop mistaking confidence for truth. Just because someone sounds right doesn't mean they are. Ask yourself, do they back it up? Can they explain it simply? Do they admit what they don't know? If not, be careful. Slow down before you agree. In conversations, meetings, or online, don't reward the loudest voice with instant trust. Pause. Think. Look for the person who's not rushing to speak. They're often the one actually thinking. Learn to value the quiet expert. Start noticing who asks real questions. Who brings data, not drama. Who says, "Let me check," instead of pretending to know. These are the people worth listening to, even if they're not flashy. Speak with honesty, not performance. If you know something, say it clearly. If you don't, say that too. Don't try to compete with volume. Lead with clarity. Trust builds slowly, but it lasts longer than noise. Teach your circle to do the same. At work, at home, with your friends. Point out the difference between sounding right and being right. Model the habit. Show that careful thought still matters. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. You just need to be the one telling the truth, even if your voice shakes when you do it. Think back to the loudest voice in the room, the one who got the applause, the one who convinced everyone, even when they were wrong. Now ask yourself, what if we stopped rewarding that? What if we focused on clarity, not confidence? On depth, not volume? We'd have a different world. One where expertise wins, not noise. Where the person who admits they don't know doesn't lose power but gains respect. It's possible. But it starts with one thing: changing how we listen. The next time someone stands up with a loud opinion, pause, take a breath, and ask, are they right or just loud?